topic is titled How to Organize Your Work, Tech Tools, Saving Your Time and Efforts while Growing Your Impact. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to invite Martijn Aslander, the presenter today, to start this session. You're all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, all of you, and great that you can make some time to listen to my ideas. Especially welcome to Guus, who is driving a car, because I'm 2 days per week. I'm a police chief for the Dutch police force, so I would like to ask you to pull over and stop the car, because what you're doing right now is dangerous. That's responsible leadership in practice. I'm an explorer of the network and information age. And I've been thinking about doing business for the last 35 years. I'm 51 years old now, and I've been an entrepreneur for 36 years. So I'm longer an entrepreneur than the existence of BSN. I was starting when I was very young, 15. I always learned that the art of doing business is all about social capital and information capital. There are 3 different forms of capital. You have monetary capital, like money. You have social capital, it's relationships and trust. And there's information capital. And we all live in a network and information age nowadays. But most of the people never dove into what that actually means. Why information capital is one of the most important parts in doing business. And actually, we are not very good at dealing with large quantities of information because we use old-fashioned tools like documents and email. Actually, those 2 tools should be eradicated yesterday because they're not helpful anymore in this rapid changing world. So let's start with the beginning. I've worked a lot of times with David Allen. Maybe you've known the book Getting Things Done. I know David very well. He lives in the Netherlands. And David said, okay, there is so much information going on nowadays. It's so different compared when you compare with the 70s or the 80s, that we are using our prefrontal cortex, our brains a lot, for things that are not really very practical. And then we try to store information in documents and in folders and subfolders. That's not very wise anymore. We have a lot of challenges in the world. And I believe that the big problems, health, education, climate change, are all being withheld by the constraints of bureaucracy. So my oeuvre, my work is about, I wrote books about it, Easycratie, Never Finished, Nooit Af, Permanent Better. And a few years ago, I came up with this book, Our Work is Broken. We're working on a Dutch translation as well. All my books were nominated for Management Book of the Year for the past year. So I'm a well-known writer here in the Netherlands. And I did some amazing discoveries since Corona that I would love to share with you. But before I do that, who of you, and please raise hands, who of you is using a computer or a screen, so computer, tablet, smartphone, for more than 4 hours a day to do your work? Please raise your hands. Yeah. So we all use computers and we're all busy with things. But the thing with being busy with meetings, emails, documents, stuff like that, is when you're very busy, the first thing that will slow down is your ability to filter main topics and side topics. So you're very busy and your brain is doing busy work, but that's not the same as making a difference. So in a modern organization, we still organize the way we organized 30 years ago. So the best thing you can do with knowledge work is only work for 4 or 5 hours a day, because your brain is the biggest consumer of mental energy from energy in your entire body. So 25% of all the calories you burn on a daily basis is burned by your brain. So thinking costs a lot of time. This is why we love routine work, doing things our own way. So who of you is actually being paid to do complex work? So who of you gets paid to think instead of to do things? Solving complex things. I bet a lot of you are actually being paid to do thinking work instead of creating stuff. So we have to figure out how to be mentally fit in order to do the best we can with our talents, our skills, our network, and stuff like that. But we cannot be mentally fit if we are not digitally fit. And I've done a lot of research to this, and I found out that most organizations never taught people how to deal with information and their digital work tools. So we give everybody a computer or a laptop or an email account, and then we assume that they know what they're doing. But sending emails all day is not the same as doing work. That's something different. The real work happens when you are going outside for a walk, when you're sleeping, when you're under the shower. In your private time, you are thinking about work. And on work, you think about stuff from your private life. So I love the concept of work-life balance, but our brain doesn't care. Our brain just does what it does. So we have to figure out how to deal with everything that is coming our way. And the tools that we're using nowadays are not very fit to deal with large quantities of micro parts of information, not documents, but things you hear, things you think, things that are sent by WhatsApp. So the IT infrastructure of companies and organizations are actually not built on the reality that we face nowadays, but on old paradigms from the past 30 years. So I dove into that. I figured out that the average screen and knowledge worker is wasting about 240 hours annually on average on looking for stuff that they knew they had. So most of you are looking for about 240 hours annually to look for stuff that is somewhere in your hard drive, in a cloud, or in an inbox. That's 240 scarce hours of your time on this planet in your organization. But you're also compensating for 40 days a year, mind you, 40 days a year, for stuff that you once knew but forgot because you didn't store it or couldn't retrieve it anymore. So you're compensating for stuff that you've done before, but you are redoing it. And lack of digital skills will cost you another 100, maybe 500 hours a year. Combine those figures, and 4 months per year, you're wasting precious time, but a lot of mental energy, thus your ability to think, because we never learned how to be a knowledge worker. And that's weird. So there's a lot of focus on digital skills, but we forgot about the information part, because it's knowledge and information capital that we have to share, to connect, to be creative, to get to be impactful. And I'm an expert in this field, and I know about roughly everybody globally who's thinking about stuff like this. So at the moment, we're when it comes to our mind, in the biggest mental crisis we ever had on the planet. And in the Netherlands, we have a flow of people running from organization, becoming self-employed, but actually they're hierarchy refugees. People are fleeing organizations in big numbers because of 3 things: meetings, managers, and Microsoft. Meetings, managers, Microsoft. The biggest cause of burnout with people is a manager who's trying to interfere with the way you do your work. People love to be autonomous, and Peter Drucker said in his famous book in 1954, he coined the word knowledge work, that you shouldn't manage a knowledge worker. So don't manage knowledge workers. Manage the workflow in your team, but not the people themselves. Because you cannot compare knowledge workers when it comes to organizing and leadership with the old paradigms that we use when people were working with their hands. So get out of their way. Because knowledge works doesn't happen between 9 and 5. It's an autonomous process, and you should focus on the outcome, not on the hours. It doesn't make sense when you're working with your brains. So managers, don't do managers. Second, meetings. 4 out of 5 meetings are a bad idea. They're rituals, not actual conversations where there's place for everybody on the table and people actually listen and learn from each other. So 4 out of 5 meetings don't do that. And there's a lot of research that actually meetings are very bad for your heart. They did large research. It's very bad for your health if you do a lot of meetings. If you do video meetings, don't even go there. So don't do stuff like this more than 2 hours a day because it's bad for your health. It should be forbidden, actually. And the third M is Microsoft. Microsoft, but also Google, is based on the concept of an office suite. Well, we saw a lot of the rings, one ring to rule them all. That didn't work out for Sauron. But one office suite for everybody. Everybody gets the same digital tools. Doesn't really work anymore because they're based on this artifact from the 70s, the typewriter. I don't know if you were aware of this, but everybody is trying to make standing and lying a piece of paper on a computer, storing it in folders and subfolders. That's actually the 70s office environment. We live in an information age. We should get rid of documents because it's never about the document. It's about the particles of information that you want to grab, mix, remix, and share with other people in order to get things done and to create stuff. So we have to figure out how to go there. Well, there's a lot of things going on in the world of technology. AI is just one of the tiny bits of that. So I help people to save at least 500, sometimes 1,200 hours annually with simple things that, and you don't even have to be technical to do that. So I will show you a few of them. Who of you is using Outlook as a email program? Please raise your hands or whatever. Outlook users here? Email? Yep. Okay. And who of you is using folders and drags emails into the folder with a mouse to archive it? Who of you does that on a regular basis? Okay, for those people, you're wasting 62 hours annually if you are the type of person that's dragging emails with a mouse in a folder or a subfolder. Pile, don't file is the quote we use here. Because if you invest like half an hour once in how to properly search in your email program, you don't need to archive. It's just evidence of lack of information skills that HR or management didn't train you. And I have hundreds, literally hundreds of examples like this. I will demo something. I have to share my screen. We'll go to this one. I'm going to check for Art. Arthur, do you see an empty screen with my mouse moving? Yes. Okay, I'm going to show you something that is called magic typing. It will save you another 70 hours annually, and it's fun, it's easy. So if you send me an invite on LinkedIn and we haven't met before, oh, I cannot even do that in slow motion. So I have this short abbreviation, and boom, I will say, hi, thanks for your LinkedIn invite. Do we know each other? Blah, blah, blah. By Martijn. So if you are Peter, then I will say, hi, Peter. And then I will send it on LinkedIn. And the other one is, hi, John. Boom. So I can type this like 30 times in 1.5 minutes, saves a lot of time. Recently, I was in Karachi, and for Dutch audience, hang on, at Karachi. So this is where my story in Karachi was. This is in Dutch, but I also have a version in English available. Do you say love or ciao, love or ciao of kind of regards? Doesn't really matter. My address. If you text me, this is Dutch. I can send this to people. This is actually a very good idea if you do it on a smartphone. So I lose those emojis a lot of times, so I can type that. And this is what computers were built for. I'm saving like 70 hours annually, and it's available on most of your smartphones, all of them, I guess. And it's standard present in the office suites, but nobody cared to teach that to you because we are using the same particles of information a lot of times every day. Those are basic computer skills. I will show you another one. I'm a lot of times in a situation where I need a bit of information from a picture. So I'm in a meeting. This is a list of the participants, and I just select those names. I use a shortcut on my keyboard, and boom, I have it. It's like grabbing information from anywhere I want because I'm a knowledge worker and I take my work very seriously. So this is a Dutch book. Let's say I need this part of information from for a presentation, and boom, there it is. So stuff like this is magic. Those are the magic powers you need to be able to deal with large quantities of useful information. I see information capital as the far most important part of doing business. Because if you know how to handle large quantities of information in an easy way, and you could organize it, reorganize it, mix it, then you have compound interest on your information capital. And if you give your information capital, you share with other people, you build social capital, which build trusts. So if you want to do business with people in your own organization or business with other organizations, you need social capital and information capital. And I speak a lot of on conference for poor people, and I always explain to them, the easiest way to become successful is go to the local library, master the skills you need as a information worker, and use the information to help other people. Actually, it's tattooed on my arm, ready to serve. And on my other arm is born to create. So I use the information capital to help other people. In exchange for that, I get trust. And I build on that trust to get more information. And so I have a lot of compound interest when it comes to information capital in any field. But by giving it away and by combining it, I can be creative. This is what I do all day. So I rarely use a computer for more than half an hour a day. I hate computers. I love people and I love information. I love to create. Most of my stuff I do by text messaging and by phone calls, because we are not born to operate a computer. We are not on this planet to operate a computer for more than a few hours a day. And I think it's ridiculous and actually not necessary anymore. And if you do it properly, you can save hundreds and hundreds of hours in an easy way. So I will share in the chat one of the things we do on this part. I organize very nice conferences on this topic. So I think no digital transformation without digital fitness. Most of the people are not digitally fit. And I think it's one of the biggest problems of our time. So if you want to do something about burnout, lifelong learning, agility, impact, innovation, start here. Because if you don't fix this, you won't have mental space or time or leverage to fix all this other stuff that you want to endeavor. So I think my time is up. Thank you for listening. Normally I talk about 15 hours on this topic, but I only got 15 minutes. Sorry for that. And in the chat, I think I shared some things that will be helpful for you. One more thing. The Digital Fitness platform will be translated into English in the upcoming 3 months. And then we will operate on 4 continents. And all of our knowledge, our videos will be and remain be free to the world, because I'm on a mission.
Thank you.
Noted.
Thank you so much. Martijn Aslander for very beautiful and passionate presentation on how to organize our work and text tool saving your time and effort while growing our impact. It's time now for Dr. Mohammed Yassin to reflect on the same topic. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here with you, BSN community. It's very challenging to reflect on Martin's ideas, of course. So the first thing that come to my mind is that it really reminds me the idea that entrepreneurs now in this digital age and the VUCA environment, which is very changing, is that they need indeed to master what we call the social skills, so communicate, cooperate, and at the same time, the cognitive skills, which means that they need really to, when they are present in doing a task, they need to be aware that they are doing the task. So, and it's very interesting when Martin said that indeed, when you go from work to home, your body is at home, but maybe your brain, your thinking, you're reflecting on the work. And it's very important to have these cognitive skills in order to at least be aware, what are you thinking about in the moment? And the last thing also, which is very interesting about entrepreneurs now, that what we need to teach them, of course, is that the action-oriented skills, which means that, of course, they need to focus on the right subject. And from my experience, for example, taking the example of Renault Group, which is, of course, the French automotive company, we found that they really spend, let's say, 2 hours in meeting, which is very huge. And when we made the diagnosis, we found that two things. The first thing, they focus on the wrong subject. So they take every subject which is coming on around the meeting and discuss it. Even if they said, okay, we need to discuss Y, Z, but of course, when people come, they want to show that they know things. They want to justify XYZ performance, what we call the social, the hidden social architectures. And at the same time, the second thing, that they bring the wrong people as well on the meetings. So some people, they are not really, they don't have really interest in joining these meetings. And all of these things, indeed, they will, so people, when they go out from the meeting, in addition to wasting 2 hours of their time, they also gather information that they don't need. And it's very interesting that the idea of Martin, they really helps to have at least an understanding of those situations. The second thing, or the third thing, which is also very interesting, as you said, Martin, is of course Peter Drucker. They said that you lead people who manage tasks. You don't manage people. And it's very interesting because we come to the second idea. You give them direction, so you show them the right subject that they need to focus on. The other idea also that came to my mind is Michael Burry, which is really interesting contributor in lean management, and also he does a lot of research on lean management. And he said that we found that the organizations that are more productive, they are not the ones that maybe have the brilliant idea, because we used to make idea box, and we put ideas on the box, but there is some people who choose which is the good idea and the bad idea. But what he does is that he uses a digital platform when all the ideas, everybody can see the ideas. And he found that the productivity is not the quality of the ideas, but the amount of exchange ideas that make really organization productive. And it's very interesting. Maybe the last thing is that when coming back to the challenge of using digital tools, and it's very important to know the purpose, why you are using them. And you spoke about the Karachi experience, Martin, and of course we have also experience in GCC countries, in Asia, in Africa as well. We found also that sometimes organizations will use the digital tools, let's say in a fashion way, because we need to use it because everybody use it, because the Western organization use it. But it's difference that we need to consider them as a mean, not the purpose. And it's very important to consider this idea, I think, from my point of view. Of course,
those means are mean.
Yeah. So this is maybe the my reflection on Martin's inputs, and of course I can add a lot of things, but I think we have limit time. So thank you very much for your attention.
You're on mute, Lere.
LB, you are muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Mohammed, for your beautiful reflection. It also adds significant value to the discourse. Now it's time for us to ask questions from Martin or from Mohammed. You can type your questions. You may show your hand in case you would like to ask the questions. So let me rule out the questions for first to Martins. What are the 3 major action points? This is an action learning school. What are the 3 major action points you expect an average user of the computer to take away from today's 15 minutes presentation? Just 3.
3.
Yeah.
Don't focus on digital skills. First, focus on information skills. Your life is all about information, personal, professional information that you need to create things, to get things done, and to have impact. After the information skills, focus on your digital skills and figure out if the tools that you use are good at dealing with large quantities of information. And the third one is, don't do it alone, ask for help. So community-based learning is something that I have deep belief in. There's a lot of shame on lack of digital skills. So people around you, your colleagues, won't share that they are ashamed of their lack of skills. So talk about it. Help each other. In every organization, there's a nerd or a geek who loves to share these tiny things. The stuff that I showed you, somebody in your organization already knows this, but because the management is not aware of this, it's not a topic. And then you need a lot of money for consultants to teach you stuff that you already know.
Thank you so much. The second question is, what is the place of the use of artificial intelligence in increasing efficiency, particularly at this time?
Don't worry about artificial intelligence, because if you don't have information skills and you don't know how to store information, find it back, it's no use. I mean, we just create more information that everybody's summarizing again, and nobody has time to read it or to store it or to retrieve it. So first you have to work on your digital hygiene before you get into AI. People like me with AI are very impactful because I have structured data from the past 30 years because I take my information capital very seriously. So without information skills, don't even try.
There have been specific questions which we have answered on the chat room, but for the benefit of others, people are asking for what are the kinds of softwares or applications that can be used to convert JPEGs, like we demonstrated, onto text.
Yeah, so it's basically an option in Microsoft OneNote, Google Lens, that is on everybody's smartphone, can do the same thing. Just Google it, play with it. I mean, invest an hour, maybe half an hour watching YouTube videos. It's called OCR. That's the phrase actually you have to remember. Optical character recognition, one of the oldest techniques on computers, and most of the time people have never heard of it.
Okay, welcome. Okay, are there questions from anybody which we need to undo? Let me find out from Mohammed. You did mention that those in the Asia, GCC, Africa, we actually see computer as a tool to drive efficiency. And it is interesting to see Martin explain to us today that we need to be well-grounded first on information before we start to use the tool of digital.
Yes.
So how can we, and we are generally addicted to the use of computers, particularly in these developing economies. Mohammed, what's your view about how to drive our efficiency? The main focus of today's program. Good morning, BSN.
Maybe Martin want to add something on this.
Yeah, before we dive into efficiency, efficiency is a word that bureaucrats love to deal with scarce resources. please use effectiveness. That's a
Okay.
far more beautiful word.
Okay.
Yeah,
How do we drive effectiveness?
I think that to ask this question, it is interesting to go back to Yves Morieux, the director of Boston Consulting Group in Asia, and he wrote a book, Smart Simplicity. And indeed, I think that I join Martins on the analysis of the word. In fact, that he said that when we analyze the economies from the 50s, we found that it's in terms of productivity, effectiveness, we are not really having a better effectiveness. He said that we had something positive growth in when we invented the processor and the internet. But he said that what is the purpose? Because if you have a only purpose is just to gain financial performance, and
That's
you
empty.
really,
Yeah.
you really forget all the let's say the performance related to creating community of practice, improving competencies, or providing impact, as we do with Business School Netherlands. And I think that we need to shift in terms of purpose, in redefining what is the purpose of being effective. What does it mean? Is it only financial, or we need to consider other aspects? This is, I think, the first idea. The second idea is that we really need to create collaborative environment. And as also Daniel Pink in his book Drive, he said that management is not a tree. So we didn't, let's say that when the earth became earth, we didn't find a tree which is, let's say, give managers, or you see. So we need to rethink the organizational systems in order to improve collaboration. And I think that it joined the idea of Martin's that if we really, let's say, keep the focus on creating more collaborative organizations, which deal with important information that are really contribute to better work environment, and I think we will be more effective. And the last thing is that I think that the agile methodology, for example, is a very good way of organizing the work, because you have a focus on the deliverables, which means financial, marketing, all the let's say the KPIs. But on the other side, we have a focus. We invest time in reflecting on the way we work, and all the, let's say, the actual the current managerial systems. When you have a strong hierarchical management system, it's very difficult to give the floor to employees, the -4, the -2, to tell you, to reflect, to say, this practice or this process is not good for us. So I think that in order to be more effective, we need to create more collaborative organizations that really focus on the important matters, and also give the chance to employees at different levels to give their reflection or feedback. And I think action learning allows this, because when you make action learning subsets, maybe you put a manager with his teams, and they can really exchange in a safe environment. I think that this is the way of really being more effective, creating more collaborative organizations.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Thank you, Martin. We cannot take additional questions, but like we shared, they have their LinkedIn pages. You can contact them for more information. Next week is the 30th Good Morning BSN, and the 30th episode. And we'll be focusing on performance leadership. And the title for next week's Tuesday's program is Execution Power in Changing Environment by Marco van de Poel of Brainboss, and moderation will be done by Gert Herbert of the Rabobank. We will love you all to be there. Martin has been very kind to provide some links on the chat room. Please do not forget to save your chat room to be able to have access to it, or to copy now and paste on your notes so that you can revisit. And so we'd like to say very big thank you to Martin as well as Mohammed, and to all the attendees. We had quite impressive numbers today that have shown up in excess of 70. I mean, I counted up to 72. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming towards the end of today's program, exactly 10:08 now in the morning, Netherlands time, and then Lagos time.